Hi, today I want to talk to you a little bit about how to make our dyslexic children a little bit more confident and feel successful in reading. One of the things I do here at home is I have a magic wand. My magic wand is just from the dollar store in the party section, and I've told one of the kids that I'm tutoring, and when my daughter was younger, that this wand is magic. It helps them to read just a little bit better. And they may or may not believe you, but it's just something that's comforting. You can use colored pens, or we use colored pens in everything. In fact, it's a reward system in our house. You get all your schoolwork done at the end of the week. You get to pick a color, and I just bought a box from Costco. There's maybe 100 pens in the box, and they get to pick one each week, and I paid $20 for it. You can even use a pencil. I have what is called the bouncing ball, and I got it from the Hello Kitty store, and it makes a little shake noise and bounce the ball. But with boys, you can do pencils, or I'm sure at the dollar store they have something in the party section for boys that is like a wand. Maybe Star Wars is huge right now, a lightsaber, But one of the things I do is I take my text, and I usually point for my daughter and for the student that I read with, and I just point to the words that they are reading to, and I just go underneath, and a lot of times if they say the word wrong, I'll tap it, and my child knows ahead of time that if I tap it, they need to reread it. I don't tell them that's wrong, that's not right. I try to use really positive words. I tend to say try again. Sound that out. Let's try that one more time. I just try not to bring negativity into the situation just because it's already hard. So I'll tap. You can also have the child read with the wand as well, and they'll read along, and it just helps them to track, number one, the words that they're reading. And if they're pointing, you should have your own pointer so that you can tap to let them know they need to reread it. Another thing that I do is when, say, they're reading a text and they have, the book is big, or even if it's one of the books where you can't really bend the binding back on the book, I will take a solid piece of paper. I usually pick a color, and I just cover up the side that they're not reading. That way this side isn't distracting them from this side. And what I like about this as well is they're not getting stressed out of maybe something that they have to read in the future. Look at all those words. It causes less stress on the child. So this right here is a comprehension book. So it's a story, and on the back are questions that they have to read. And you want to get it to above their grade level, but if they're struggling, say they're third grade, obviously you don't want a fourth grade or fifth grade. You want something towards their reading level, but maybe they're supposed to be sixth grade. Maybe you can do a grade lower so it still helps them to read. But what we do is especially when the text is close together like this, I will highlight every other line, and again, it helps the child to track what they're reading. This, of course, is a book that we own. You do not want to do this with library books. But it helps them to track what they're reading. And again, when it comes to like comprehension, say you already have the questions in mind, or you already have questions that are written out for you, let the child read the book or the questions before they read the story, so they at least know what they're trying to answer, and they'll go, oh, that was something that I have to answer, and they'll take a mental note of what they are reading. Another thing is I tend to pre-read this text for my daughter so that I can look and see what words are she going to struggle in reading this, and I create flashcards so that she can actually, I'll introduce her to the words through a flashcard. So say the word is coma. She doesn't know what a coma is, so we'll go over the word coma, I'll explain it to her, and then when she hits it in her story that she's reading, she knows what it is, and it's less stressful for the student. So that's something we do especially with a controlled text. Another thing that we do is we utilize technology in our house. I am not a technological person. I actually have lots of people in my life that are very good with technology, but I'm not good with it. But if you are fortunate and blessed enough to own something like a smartphone or an iPad or even a fancy computer, here's some stuff that you can do. So first of all, I have my iPad, and there is an app called Overdrive that you can download to your iPad, your iPhone. I'm sure they have it for tablets, but what you do is you put in a library. You choose a library from a list of libraries depending on what city or state you live in. And I have both a county library card and a city library card. I like county library cards better because you have more book options. So in the book options, you would go ahead and, let me just move this too. So I'm going to move it to the county library. You have a list of books that you can go, and you can go in by section. You can even just look up audiobooks. So what I do is I download an audiobook to my iPad, and what it does is it downloads, and now it will read the book for you, and I'm going to let you just listen for just a second.
You'll see.
Of course,
Chapter 45, Operation Wrecking Crew and Rescue.
So what this does is it keeps track of where you are at all times in reading. It has it by chapter. And then what I do is I get a hard copy of the story that the audiobook is reading. You can get both a hard copy from the library, as in an actual physical book, or you can download your book to your Kindle. So if you have a Kindle, you can put Kindle on your iPad, or you can put it on probably even on your phone, I would imagine. But now I have the downloaded book to my iPad, and as the story is reading it to my child, she is following along with the book, with the words. What I really like about the Kindle is if you come across a word that you do not know, you highlight the word, and what pops up is a dictionary. So we try to read books that are above her grade level. You want to always get a book above grade level. You even want to try getting books that are probably written like 60 to 100 years ago or even longer, because they're using bigger vocabulary than we do today, and they just had a different style of writing back then. We use this to listen to A Christmas Carol. So here you are, all been watching the movies for years, whether it's Mickey or George C. Scott, but they have the book, and we listen to it as a family, and that was a lot of fun to listen to the retelling of A Christmas Carol on a play. We did a playaway. So another thing that you can get is a playaway, and it's actually as big as a cell phone, and you put your own private headphones in, you put it into the playaway, and it plays the book for you. And the great thing with libraries is if it's not at your city library, you can do Links Plus and send away for that playaway, and they'll send it to your library. So just remember, you're responsible for it. Or you can even put in the headphones, you can put one of the portable iPhone speakers, and now everyone can listen. We do this at nighttime. My daughter is not just dyslexic, but she has ADHD, so it's really hard for her to settle down at nighttime. So reading a book before we go to bed is great. One of the reasons why we do reading from the iPad rather than me reading to her is by the end of the day I'm tired. And secondly, she hears me talking all day long. It's a lot more enjoyable listening to somebody else read the book to you. It's also, you're also getting, somebody else's voice in you, and a lot of times they use their own way of voices and stuff like that. I personally don't do voices when I read. So again, Kindle, you can use a hard copy or this or a playaway, or you just order CDs, books on CD. Another thing that I like is radio shows. Radio shows are great. They don't have a lot of radio shows for kids, but they've actually had one that's done by Focus on the Family. It's called Adventures in Odyssey. I personally have been listening to this radio show since I was a kid myself. It was something I always really enjoyed listening to in the car. In fact, we would be driving somewhere, it would come on, and we would park, and I would no, I'm not going to get out. I'm going to stay and listen to the end of this story. So it's a lot of fun listening to these characters over a span of 20, 30 years. But it's great. It has great morals. There's always a lesson to be learned. You can download it to your iPod through iTunes, or you could even order the CDs. Or if you go to witsin.org, you can listen for free 1 episode a day for free. You can't beat that. And one of the things I like about this show is there's a character named Eugene. He's extremely smart. He uses big giant words that we don't use in our everyday vocabulary. Like, he comes up across another character and says, a very felicitous morning to you. And it was just his fancy way of saying good morning. And I loved it. In fact, just today, my daughter says, I'm going to start talking like Eugene because he uses really great words. And it's great because it expands their vocabulary. It's great because this program has what is called the Adventure, I'm sorry, not the Adventure, the Imagination Station, and they go to different places. They even do history, radio shows. It's great. It's a great program. So that's something that we throw on in the car. We do books in the car. We love it on long trips. We love it on short trips. In fact, my children choose these radio shows and listening to a story over watching TV. And I love that. I love that my kids would rather listen to a book than listen or watch TV. So I think I covered everything in this that I wanted to. I'm not sure if I mentioned that reading a book before a child goes to bed really helps them settle down. And oh, I do know, I did miss something. So if you notice on my iPod here, I have the white words on a black background. That is huge. A lot of times on white paper, even just in a book, there's a glare that even white paper gives off, and dyslexics, a lot of them do better with a colored background. So if you notice behind me, I have some charts on my door. That's my vocabulary and writing and English charts that I have behind me. But just about everything is in a colored paper and a light pastel. When you do a white background on black letters, it's actually, there's just a glare. It lets off a lot of light, so you're constantly squinting. There's just something about the black background that just seems to be more enjoyable. My daughter has an easier time following along with the black background. Say that 5 times. One of the things that I love about this too is I go to bed probably after 11 o'clock, and by the time 11 o'clock comes around, it's my only quiet time that it's just about me. So I spend a good half hour reading, a book every night before I go to bed. I read my Bible, and then I read my my iPad, and I can read it while my husband is asleep next to me because of the black background. I love it. So I hope that these things help, and I want to continue to give great tips. So if you have something that's going on at home and you don't know how to solve it, please email me. I'd love to help you troubleshoot it. And another day I will talk about maybe having a board on your wall for separate from English and math. And I want to talk about maybe coming up with ideas to troubleshoot math, because dyslexics don't just struggle in reading. They struggle in just about every subject, from spelling, reading, writing, math, sometimes even art. Some of them are really talented, and some of them just don't know how to even move a pencil. So I hope you have a blessed day. Thank you.